Hello, I'm Jim Adams, and today I want to share with you how I sell puts. I want to kind of take it to a real basic level. I've had people send me questions, and mainly that they're confused and they're not sure how to do it. So in this video, I'm going to try to simplify things and share with you how I do it. And then I'm also going to share some recommendations I have with certain securities or investments that I'm looking at currently. One of them I actually sold a put on yesterday and did pretty well. So I think you're going to enjoy what I have for you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Easy Investing Income YouTube channel. My goal for this channel is to share with people how I invest and how I'm able to earn a pretty good income and reach financial independence a lot quicker than I ever thought possible. So I've had questions in the past that people have said what I've been sharing is a little bit too confusing or they don't quite understand. So I'm going to try to make this as easy and as basic as possible and try to slim it down a bit. Before we get started, I do want to mention I'm not a financial professional. What I share in these videos is what I like to do for myself. So please be warned that if you try to do these trades yourself, you're kind of at your own risk. But again, I'm actually doing these trades, and I actually share the trade. So in this video, I'm gonna kind of share the basics to actually sell an option. I do have a video that'll be at the end of this, or a section of this video at the end, where I actually show you where I went in and actually sold a put, and I go through how I actually did that. So it'll be a real-time example. I actually did the trade yesterday and videoed it. So it's something, once we've talked through this a little bit, you'll be able to actually see me go through and actually sell an option. So that being said, to begin any kind of trading, you need a brokerage account. I use Schwab, and I've been very happy with them. When I started with options, I was able to get them on the phone. They helped me with what to do, what not to do, and any confusion I had. So I highly recommend them. But there's other great brokers. There's there's Tasty Trade. There's Interactive Brokers, so there's plenty of options. So, and a lot of them work the same. I prefer Schwab mainly because I've been working with them for 20 years, well before I ever did options trading. And then another important point, and I do have another video that talks about getting options approval. Schwab makes it really easy. In their actual screen, you can you'll see it says options, what level you are, and you can actually click on a link and you can actually request access. I have what's called level 2. So, and I believe there's a level 3 that's even more advanced, but it allows me to do covered calls, cash secured puts, virtual spreads, those kinds of things. If it's easier, because I actually, when I first got approval, I just called them and asked them that I wanted approval, and I shared with them what I wanted to do, and they actually walked me through it. So if you need a little hand holding, you can also call them directly or message me. I'm not against holding your hand a little bit to help you get started. Next, once you have your brokerage and you've set up approval for selling options, you kind of have to do some research and find securities. I'm going to talk about the securities I've listed here. These are a couple of securities. One is Schwab. You can see CHW, and they're not overpriced, and they're doing some neat things. And I like to invest in things that I actually work with on a daily basis. So I'm looking at trying to see if I can sell some puts on them. Big is Big Lots, and that's who I actually did the sale with, and they have some good numbers, and they're doing some things that I think are really impressive with their stores, and it's a store I like to go into, and I do like their numbers. They have good cash flow, they have good profits. They've come back to come down a bit recently, so they're a little bit less expensive. They're easier to deal with pricing wise. And then iRobot is another one that's kind of consolidated lately, has good numbers, good cash flow, has little debt. These three investments are things I'm looking at currently. I'll jump into each of these and show a little bit about them. I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but that'll show up next in this video. So once you've researched it and you found what you're looking for, then you actually have to kind of look at the option chains. And the option chains, again, I'll show you next how to actually access the option chains. But you actually go into those and you find a chain that works for you. My guidelines are I like to do what's called a 20 delta, which is like an 80% probability that it'll expire out of the money. And I usually look for up to 60 days out. And then I'll search for fair, enough premium. I don't want to do something where I don't earn enough to make it worth my while. But when I first got started, I didn't care so much about these guidelines. I just wanted to get used to making the trade. So I was, if I made $30 or $40, I was okay with that, especially taking a lot less risk. Because when you first start doing it, it is a little confusing, the wording and how things work. But once you get used to it, like for me now, I've done hundreds of trades and I'm pretty used to the wording, and but at first I was confused. I can understand why a lot of people would be confused. And then when you actually find that contract, then you go ahead and you do the trade, so you click on the trade, and then I always do a market order. I'll talk more about that later, but I like to get in and out. I don't want to spend hours trying to get $10, $20 more. I typically do market trades and then go on and do other things for my day. So I've been able to trade a couple hours a week and, been able to make between my lowest month was 1,000, my highest is 3,000. Now I've been averaging 2,000 a month, which is what I want. I want to make 2,000 a month. So I'm not actively trying to make more than 2,000 a month now, but I could. Mainly because I'm self-employed and I'm actually on Obamacare, and if I make too much, then my premiums go through the roof. So I have an equation that I use to determine how much I can make and what I need to live off of. I've budgeted what I need. So, and then finally, journal what you're doing. So I have a journal and I've shared it in my reviews, monthly reviews. That way I can see what's working and what's not. So let's go ahead and move to the next section of the video, and we'll jump into Schwab and we can research these three different investments, and I can show you, why I feel like they're really good investments. So let's go ahead and do the next part of the video. Okay, so I actually logged into Schwab and I'm actually on the research page. So you just log in and click on research, and let me move this up a little bit. Let's see if I put in iRobot yet. No, I haven't. So I'm going to put in iRobot. IRBT is its ticker symbol, and I'm going to bring it up. So with iRobot, it's got 40% of the market share. It's got a good balance sheet, very little debt. It's going to make $3.12 a share this year, and I think $5 and something next year. So it's got good earnings, and I think it's 2.5 billion is its value in the market. So it's got a pretty big value, and it also has had positive free cash flow for over 10 years now, and it also, I believe that's for the last decade. So the cash flow, and we'll look at that here in a minute, and then it's been consolidating. If you look at the chart, let's scroll down. Oops, let's go to summary. Let's scroll down so you can see it's consolidated. It's come down to it's nowhere near its 52-week high, and it's consolidated and come to a good value. And then if we look at, let's move this up a little bit. Let's look at earnings. So the earnings don't look fantastic here, but the sneaky thing is if you come down and you look at actually the revenue looks good. So it's doing well revenue wise, and it's forecast to keep continuing. And since it's got 40% of the market share, and it's gonna the revenue is gonna keep growing, and it's growing at looks like 18.3%. I don't know if that's the last quarter. It might be. Yeah, 1 year it's over 36%. 3 years 17, 5 years 18% on a yearly average. So it's doing quite well. And here's the cash flow. You can see the cash flow is actually up 25%. So it's got really good cash flow, which in my mind is probably the most important thing. So overall, it's a good company. It's not way overpriced. So the next important question is it optionable? So let's look at the options chains. And this first page, it takes you to, you can see it's actually optionable. If you look at the big bid and asks, the values are quite good. And this is for August 20th, which is only 2 weeks away. So let's look at full option chains. And I'm going to change this a little bit. I usually like to see if I can get the stock for 10% less than what it currently is, which would be around the $75 range. So let's change this to, let's go a little lower than 75. Let's go 70, and let's take this down to 85. I'll hit continue. Let's change this. I want to look at something out a little ways, and then continue. Let's come over to, let's just do puts. I'm not interested in calls at this time. So yeah, so you can see some good value here. At 75, you're talking 45 to 80, so I could make $45 if I traded this right now. But with it being an up day, it's not something I want to do today. I'll probably do it on a down day, and I found that typically 40% of the trading days are down. So if you just wait a couple of days, you're going to have another down day, and you can actually make more premium. Like if I switch to the calls here, you would see that the premiums on the calls have gone up. You know, instead of negative values here, you'll have positive. And the same thing when the market goes down, you'll notice the values of the puts go way up, which is really nice. So if I scroll out a little farther, 36 days, and again, I want to get it in the $75 range. So between 70 and 120, someone yesterday got 85 cents, and of course that's per share. So it's like getting $85 if you think that or if you realize it's 100 shares. This one actually has gone up today, so some people are actually buying $80 puts, and that's a fair amount of money. So it trading at 86, it's probably close to a 37 or 30% 0.30 delta, meaning it's a 70% probability. So again, it's very optionable. Now if I go to 43 days, you can see it's 70, which it'd have to be probably a market correction to get down to 70. You know, that probably has like a 0.15 delta, which is like an 85% probability it'll expire out of the money. At 75, my guess is that's probably pretty close to a 0.20 delta or 80% probability it'll expire out of the money. So if I was going to trade today, I would look at this $75. It's in that price range that I'd be interested in. It's 10% lower than it currently is. So I would look at trading this. I would click on trade, and it would take me to my trading form, and it actually pre-populates the trading form and makes it relatively easy for you to trade. So this iRobot is going to be added to my watch list. It's a good stock for me to trade on and to make some money on selling puts, and it's something I'd be more than willing to own if, say, the market crashes and it goes down 30%, and I end up getting a sign for whatever reason. It's something I'd be willing to own, and it interests me. I'd love watching those robots. I don't own one yet, but it's something I'm considering. Every time I go to Costco, I look at them. So it keeps me busy at times if I'm in Costco or someplace that's selling them. So let's move on to, I'm not going to do big lots, mainly because it's going to be covered in the last part of this video when I actually sell a put. But let's go to Schwab, and I believe it's SCHW. Yep, and it kept me at the let's move this up a little bit. I can't see the, oh, it's got me, I'm not in, let's move this down and let's go back to research. Oh, I'm not in research. It had moved me to trading. So the option chains are actually underneath the trading page. So I'm going to move this down, and sorry about me moving this little image around. I do that because I'm trying to keep my account number off the internet. I don't really want that out there so everyone will see it. So here's Schwab, and it's, again, let's go over to summary. It doesn't pay much of a dividend, but I love Schwab. I use them all the time. They actually helped me through a divorce and being able to do things, and they actually saved me money. I thought I had to do some things, especially move my 401k over using an attorney, but they were able to help me with it and give me the paperwork I needed, and I didn't need to use an attorney to move money around. Which was a big deal. And I love the fact that I can always get them on the phone, and there's an office nearby, so I've gone into the office quite a bit, end up staying a lot longer than I should because I like talking to people there. So here you can see it's actually leveled off a little bit and consolidated. It's got good earnings. It's got a good balance sheet. I like what they're doing. They bought Ameritrade recently. Let's see, I had some other notes here. Yeah, their profitability is good. They're buying back shares, so their outstanding shares are fewer. They have minimal debt. So there's a lot to like about them. And again, it's something I use every day, and I understand it. I understand where they can be, especially once they've completely merged with Ameritrade. They just give such great service. Getting someone on the phone and helping you, I'm telling on myself a little bit, but I actually made a mistake early on when I was selling covered calls, and I called them up and they helped me not undo the trade, but I didn't realize I could do another trade to fix that trade, and that's what I did, and they walked me through it every step of the way. And again, whenever I have questions, I can always get someone on the line, which I've heard horror stories about other places like Robinhood and even Vanguard and some of those. Okay, so the next question is how optionable they are. Can I make some money selling puts? And again, I only sell puts on companies I want to own. So let's look here. I can see quite a bit of money here. And again, what's their price? They're at 60, what is that, 69? Yeah, is that 69? Yeah, 69. Let's do full option chains. And let's change this again. Let's just look at puts, since I'm only interested in puts currently. I don't want to trade it for a day. Let's go back, let's go out to a little farther out, and let's do a custom range. Again, I'd like to I use Delta, but then I also like to get something about 10% cheaper. So that'd be $7 off this. If I got 10% cheaper, $7 is actually a little bit more. So it would be like 62, 63. So I'm going to do a custom range. And so let's do this at 62, and let's do this at, let's say, 68, and continue. And let's see, yeah, we're getting some pretty good premium here. So if I went to 62, which my guess is it's probably a good delta and a good value. And it looks like people yesterday with the down market were making $60. Take a little more risk. They were making 82, 94, and I'm just typically the last trade was probably yesterday. It might have been today, but with the bid and ask with what it is, it was probably yesterday. So not bad for going out 29 days. Let's look at 36 days, and even better. So 62, it's between, even right now, if I clicked on this trade, I could make 57 cents, which translates to 57. And a lot of times I'll do two contracts. So if I clicked on trade, it would fill in the trade form for me with everything I needed to do, other than selecting that I'd be selling to open that option contract. And again, that will be covered at the end of this video. Let's go out a little farther. So 42 days, because of my range, it's just showing 65. But look at this. That's $1.23. Now it's down 29 cents. So someone got $1.30 at the last trade. You know, but being that what is it, 69, it's not bad, so it's even more optionable. Let's change this custom range. Let's go down a little lower, because I think there must be one that's 60. So let's go to that 42 days and let's see what 60 is. So it's 46. It looks like people were getting 53 cents, but that's relatively low. We won't go farther out, but if you're curious, I'll just show you. You can do what's called a leap. So you could say, well, you know, December 17th, which is 135 days, that's not considered a leap. But I could say, well, January 20 of 23, I'd be willing to do a 60 put, and you can see how much you'd make. I'd make over $600, and I've done those a little bit. And then let's change that range again, and you can actually see. Let's change the custom range. Let's go to the lowest you can possibly go, 15. And for a leap, you can see the craziness. So if I said I wanted to do, and I typically try to do $1. So yesterday, people were getting $1 for doing a leap put at 35, which, you know, with it trading at 69, it would be hard to believe that it could go down that low. Not saying it couldn't, but I could click on trade and make this. Now, more realistic, I think the 52-week low is like 45. So if we did 45, I could make 200, 220. I did this with AT&T recently. I sold a leap put at $20 for AT&T, which I thought, well, if AT&T goes down to 20, I mean, that's nearly impossible. And I think I brought in a couple $100. So another interesting way of doing it. But let's get back on focus here. So Schwab definitely is optionable, so it's also going on my list. And the fact that I use them and like them, it's an easy choice to make. It's something I'll look at trading here over the coming days. So those are two great stocks to look at for selling puts: iRobot and Schwab. And the other one again is Big, which is what I'll show you next, and I'll do a little bit of the same research at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into, actually, I'll show you the trade I did yesterday and that I was able to make $130. So please stay tuned, and please subscribe if you like what I'm doing. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to do a better job. Hit like if you like what I'm doing too. And if you have the time, look at my blog. I'm sharing all my trades. I also have additional blog posts where I share even more information. I think you'll find it worth your while to go out there. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how I made $130 in about 30 minutes yesterday. So thanks for joining me. Now, after doing a bit of research, I found a good stock that would be a good opportunity to actually sell puts on, and that's Big Lots. The ticker symbol for Big Lots is big, so let me show you what I mean. So it's kind of come down a little bit, but it's currently having a pretty down day. I believe it's down by over $2.20, which is almost 4%. And you can see here it's got a really good PE ratio. So it also pays a fairly good dividend. They did kind of hold their dividend steady, and they haven't increased it recently. So we can actually look at dividends. But I think they may actually get back to increasing them, and they were increasing them by quite a bit. But you can see these last 3 years they've kept them steady at $1.20. But if you come down here, you can see they over a 3-year period it was 6%, and a 5-year average was 10%. So my guess is they will increase dividends, and even though it's not one of the typical companies I invest in, it's still growing really rapidly, and because of that, it's pretty volatile. But it doesn't have a huge price. At 54, I can actually probably find some good premium in selling a put. So let's go ahead and look at the option chains. And how I got to this page is I just logged into Schwab and went to research, and then just typed in BIG for finding information about it and going through the research. So Schwab provides you a lot of information here to kind of do your own research, but this is a company I'm definitely interested in. So now I'm going to move over to option chains, which I'll click here. And this first page they bring you to, I just typically move on to the full option chains. And so here you can actually see the full option chains, and you can see to the right are the puts. So I'm only interested in puts, so I'm going to switch to puts, and I'm also going to do all strike prices. And I'm really not interested in August 20th. I'm really more interested in September. It's a little farther out, but definitely you'll get more premium. And here you can actually see at 47.50, which right now it's at 54.74. That's still almost a 10% less than what it currently is. And if I can get it at that amount, I'm actually going to get close to a 3% dividend payment. So I could go take a little bit more risk and get closer to $2 or 200, which isn't a huge gamble, because again, it's gonna, if it moves, you can always roll it, you can always close it or take certain steps to ensure you don't, unless you want it assigned and it goes below 50, then of course it would be assigned. But to show you guys how to do this, I'm actually gonna work with 47.50. If we come over here to this is Street Smart. It's a little bit more confusing, so for anyone getting started, I would start with just the basic Schwab online portal, and you can later switch to using Street Smart. I do use it quite a bit. I do like how it gives you delta, but this is the same thing, September 17th, and you can actually see the delta for 47.50 is, it's hard for me to look here, so it's this one here, this row, and it's 2.2088, so it's close to an 80% probability. So again, that's pretty much what I want to actually invest in. So next step, let's go ahead and I'll show you the steps you need to take to actually run the transaction. So here, 47.50, I'm just going to come over to trade. And you can see at the top it's got available to trade, so I've got a fair amount of cash. So I am only going to do one, because at $1.30, if I did two, I mean, in some ways maybe I should do two, but I don't want to tie up that much cash, and I may end up doing some other investments, and I want to keep enough available cash to trade. So at this point, I'm only going to do one. I can always do a second one tomorrow, especially if the market keeps going down. So here you can see you've got the symbol, you've got the date, you've got the 47.50, which is the strike price. Of course, it's a put. Then you set your select action, and I'm going to say sell to open. and then I'm going to do a market order, and you can see I would get $130 with this trade, which for a single contract, that's really good. And it expires in 9/17. And the reason I do a market trade is you can do limit orders, and I found that when I do that, I end up taking most of my day trying to get $5 or $10 more. So I typically like to do a market order and be done for the day and move on to something else. And I found too that Schwab will actually improve on the trade. If they're able to get you a little bit more value, they will. And we may see that when I actually initiate this trade. So let's go here and we'll review the order. And after fees, and you can see the fees are really next to nothing, 65 cents, I'm going to make $129.35. And now in order to place the order, all I do is I click place the order. And then here we get the order status. And you can see it's, if I click on the order status, you can see it was I actually did a little better. It's $1.34, so it got filled, and instead of $1.30, I got $1.34. And of course, this represents 100 shares, so it's really $134. So in those few minutes, I made $134, and I sold it on, or I sold the put on something I would be more than willing to own. So if it drops down to 45 or 44, then I potentially would roll it. But if it depending on where the market is at that time, I may go ahead and just let it be assigned. Or if the market drops majorly, I'm okay with 47.50. So that's the actual example. That's how you do a put, not a covered call, but a cash secured put. That's how you actually do it. And when you were running the trade, one thing I forgot to mention, if you don't see the information related to the being able to trade puts and it's not available, you just need to change your what status you have related to options. If you call Schwab, or you can actually do it, I have a video that shows you how to do that. If you don't see the ability to buy or sell calls or puts, you just need to change your option status, and Schwab can do that pretty quickly. Usually within an hour or two, they can update it for you, and you'll see all the different types of trades. So thank you, and in short, that's how you do a cash secured put. So thank you. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something from it, especially the recommendations that I have. And as always, I have links below to my blog as well as my Patreon page. So please check back often. I'm going to be sharing more recommendations and providing more videos in the coming weeks. So hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.